Hi, I'm Zeus Kerravala from ZK Research, and I'm here for another ZK tour. I'm here live in person at VMware Explore, formerly known as VMworld. I'm at the VMware booth, and one of the interesting things about VMware is it's a company that's cut its roots in virtualization, but over the last 5 years, it's really made some great strides in networking and security. And at one of the stands, they've got some great demos set up in both those areas. So we're gonna go in and have a look. So follow me in. Let's go take a look and see what VMware is doing in those areas. So here I am at the SD-WAN stand and inside the VMware booth, and I'm joined by Scott Calvet, Director of Technical Marketing for SASE. Why don't you just do a quick intro on yourself?
Yeah, my name is Scott Calvet. I'm Director of Technical Marketing for VMware SASE. Been with the company 11 years, and can't wait to talk to you more about what we're doing.
Now, I think it's pretty well understood that the entire business world's changed, right? In the last couple of years since the pandemic began. We went from everyone in the office to everyone work from home.
Yes.
Now they're in this weird world of hybrid work, right?
Right.
What are you hearing from their customers is how they're having to change the network in order to accommodate hybrid work? Has it helped SD-WAN? Has it slowed it down? What's going on with SD-WAN?
Yeah, I think it's totally helped, because traditionally customers would route everything back through the data center, and there's so many apps existing in the cloud, and they're also accessing them from different places all over the world. So to go back to a physical data center, you're going to have this hairpinning thing going on where a lot of times it's slowing things down. The other thing is people need better security in this time, and how do I get an optimized connection back to my apps in the most secure way possible? And that's a problem where everybody's dealing with.
And historically, we've thought of, I think, security and networking separately.
Yes.
Right. Over the last 2 years, there's been this term SASE that's being used, which is really the coming together
Yes.
of SD-WAN and security. Right.
Absolutely.
And so, are more and more of your customers in that complete SASE offering, or are they still thinking about the two things separately?
I think right now that they're thinking about it separately, but what they need to understand is that it's a journey. So you're not going to get to SASE overnight, and you're not going to get all these different technologies that SASE comprises of overnight. But you need to start off with something like SD-WAN, which is really the gateway into operationalizing all this security stuff and delivering it in an optimized way where the experience is still good, but it's also secure. Yes.
Now, when I talk to customers, the term SASE tends to have a lot of different definitions depending
Absolutely.
on what vendor you hear about it from. And so there's a lot of confusion about it. And so you're going to help us out do a little whiteboarding today on some of the myths behind SASE to help you understand better what is SASE and what isn't SASE.
What is SASE? Well, number one, it's an acronym, and I think that's where a lot of people fall down and they get confused.
Well, we're in tech, so we have to have acronyms.
That's right, lots of acronyms. So SASE stands for Secure Access Service Edge. So that's the acronym, and that's all about providing the secure access point for all your endpoints and people connecting into them.
Now, this last term, edge, though, is interesting because I think what we used to think of the edge was your branch office.
Yes.
Right? And that has now
That's right.
completely blown up, right?
That's right.
So what are we thinking about with edge today?
Yeah, so the perimeter of the network is wherever the person's working. Like you said, it's no longer the entrance into the office.
Yeah.
That's the perimeter. So it's really where everybody's working. And you think about work from home, like we were just talking about, work from anywhere. People are traveling all over the place, working from the beach, working from their family's house, and this is important. That's now the edge. So exactly.
So that's an important point for you watching, that if your SASE provider can't provide connectivity to every type of edge,
Yes.
that's not really SASE, correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, absolutely. And it's very important to understand that it's endpoints, it's also branch offices, etc. So there's a lot of myths about SASE, right? And I think a lot of people caught on as a marketing term, and it's gotten lost the true meaning, right? And what I like to tell people is SASE is not one of the big myths about it is that everybody thinks it's a single product, right? And it can be. You can consume it from a single vendor. But really, the most important thing to understand is SASE is an architectural framework as Gartner defined it, right? So this is very important. And this to me is key to the whole discussion, because there's no new technologies in SASE if you think about it. And what I can lay out here is that the best way to define SASE is SASE equals WAN edge, let's write that, plus this other acronym that Gartner's starting to talk about called SSE, which stands for Security Service Edge. So it's important to understand, and SD-WAN is the biggest component of this, WAN edge. And then the SSE are the cloud security components. So here's some more acronyms for everybody. But you have SWG, Secure Web Gateway, right, which helps you with your URL filtering, blocking traffic to sites you don't want people to go to. CASB, which helps you govern access to your cloud applications like Office 365, OneDrive, that kind of stuff.
And these are two technologies that pre-cloud we didn't really deploy a lot of.
No.
But now that everything's moved to the cloud, have really become core staple security products.
Absolutely, it's front and center to how they're governing applications because they've moved so much there, exactly like you're saying. So that's so important. The two other important technologies in SASE are firewall as a service. Some people say FWAS, and then the last one here is ZTNA. So when you put all these 5 technologies together, that's where you get SASE. But this the SD-WAN part, a lot of people forget it. And a lot of vendors in the space deliberately leave that out because maybe they don't have a play in that space or one side or the other. But it's important to understand that this architectural framework is operationalized by SD-WAN. This is the way you're really on board, and that's what helps customers in the journey to get to that.
Now, one of the other myths that I've heard about too is that SASE, some vendors say it's got to be all cloud-based. Right. Then you have other vendors that largely live on-prem that say, no, it's all prem-based. What is that mix of cloud versus prem? How should customers think about how to leverage the different places in the network?
I think it's important to understand where that vendor's coming from, where they make their money, and that's how they'll determine what the importance of a thick edge is what I like to call it. But you really have to think about it. It's like the problem with thick edge is you get a lot of complexity, and there can be configuration drift in these snowflake firewalls that are around. And while that's there, you do need to provide like advanced firewall services at the branch to protect against east-west traffic, internet breakout. You want to keep that as light and thin as possible, because the more you move stuff to the security service edge in these cloud applications, the better governance, the better maintenance you have. I was in IT, and one thing I always say is complexity is the enemy of good security. You can get all the greatest tools in the world, but if you don't have them set up and you can't monitor them correctly and it's not simple enough, you're going to create holes for yourself and potentially get hacked. All right. Yeah.
So what's another myth you'd like to respond to?
So another myth is, we said SASE is not just a single product. It can be. Yeah. And the other myth is that that it's a new technology or something like that, and really it isn't. And that's where I wanted to just highlight that architectural framework. That these are all existing markets, existing tech, but they've never existed together in a way that they were really heterogeneous.
Well, there's many vendors. If you Google SASE, right, you're going to get hundreds of vendors that claim to be SASE vendors. Is it important that you have both components? Because I know a lot of companies are really strong in networking, have no real presence in security, so maybe they partner there, or you have a security vendor that's got some kind of light WAN play. You need to be strong in both.
I believe so, and it's important because it's also how you deploy these. So, like I said, SD-WAN is important to operationalizing this. How do you manage that? How do you maintain it? How do you govern it? SD-WAN plays a critical role in that. But some vendors will just say, hey, you just need this. But again, if they're leaving SD-WAN out, they're going to be missing out on optimizing that connectivity. A big problem with doing security in the past is that when you introduce that, it can create some latency. It can ruin the quality of the experience for users. So if you want to maintain that, keep it optimal, you're going to need SD-WAN to do it. But I'd say, it's a journey. Now, one thing, a lot of other vendors in the space, they may say, like, if you're a single SASE vendor, you're one of the few, because not everybody has both sides
of this
coin. Yeah. That's right. And then if you think about the ones that do, VMware is one of those, but we really love to emphasize choice. So you have two ways to really consume this. So SASE, I'll get into this, is you have two methods, right, to consume SASE. Excuse me, let me write this. Two methods. There is converged and something called integrated. Okay, so I've been at VMware a long time, long time. And one of the things I love about VMware Story is that we like to provide choice, and this is something, so a single SASE vendor can have a converged solution. So this is where you have all those SASE components I just talked about, SD-WAN, SWG, all that. Now an integrated solution could be, you get your SD-WAN solution from, let's say, a VMware, and then you want to use a company like Zscaler, which might meet some of your niche needs from a cloud security standpoint, and that's where you could add in another vendor here. The importance of this is sometimes you have larger enterprises, they may already be using a specific SSE vendor or a specific SD-WAN vendor. The ability to have choice is important.
Yeah, we're just giving choice, and I think that's
exactly
because especially when it comes to security, asking customers to do a hot cut,
yes.
That's very difficult.
That's right, absolutely. The other thing I'd say is when you're looking at this converged offering, and like you said, there's a handful of vendors who provide this, do all the services reside in the same POP? So POP, for those who don't know, is point of presence. And this, we try to put these all over the world. VMware has hundreds of POPs. And the closer that is to your users, and we talked about the folks that are on the road, they're connecting into different places all the time, or they're working from anywhere. You need lots of POPs to get them connected as soon as possible, or quickly as possible. And then we can direct them onto their cloud apps or back to the data center in the fastest way possible, leveraging, for VMware, we have this great technology, VMPO, which is dynamic multipath optimization. And we use that once you connect into that SASE POP to get to your location faster. But the great thing about our solution versus other vendors is everything is consolidated inside that POP. Some vendors might offer all the services, but the services could exist in separate POPs. So what you end up doing is hopping around a few times before you actually get to your destination.
All right, well thanks, that was a great overview of SASE, and I think we're going to hop over to a different stand now and talk about network intelligence, correct?
Absolutely, yes.